Good morning. Welcome back to your hometown radio station, AM 1360 KOHU. It is time for the Odds and Ends program here on this Monday morning. We welcome you in, and we welcome you online at GoHermiston.com and Mixler.com/1360-KOHU. The web streams are powered by Blue Mountain Networks. And we welcome into the studio with us this morning Hermiston City Manager Byron Smith back on the program. Good morning to you. Oh, I suppose I have to push that button. There we go. Now,
good morning, Eric.
Now a good morning. On works better. How we doing?
Doing really well, thanks. Very good.
Very good to have you here. I don't want to just be like, all right, it's going to be the state of the city because it's been a while. But I actually, where I thought I'd start was the year of elections meant that there are going to be new faces that are joining the council. A new mayor, although it's not like Doug isn't familiar with things. But when you look at onboarding, for lack of a better cliche, like how do you, once somebody is elected, how do you help prepare them to understand what their role is and how they can effectively work with you as the city manager?
Yeah, we do a number of different things, and we've already started with those. One is I like to get each new counselor out to visit each department of the city and to try to get at least a simple picture of what they do. And so we've started doing those tours, going to our wastewater plant and the police department and just all around City Hall, talking to all the department heads, those kinds of things. And then the second main thing is, and we just completed that on Thursday and Friday night last week, the League of Oregon Cities does a training every 2 years for all of the newly elected city councilors across the state. And so all three of our new councilors, I went with them to Pendleton, and we did a training on, public meeting law, the public records laws, the ethics laws, those things that are kind of now they're going to be subject to, and try to give them a basic understanding of some of those things. And so that's kind of our first step. And then early in the year, we'll do our annual goal setting session that we'll do a little bit more, probably kind of team building, helping them kind of come into and understand the things we've been working on, and then get their perspective as we start to go forward.
What is that process of the goal setting?
Yeah, so we hire a facilitator to help us kind of have a discussion about, what do we want to accomplish, and that doesn't mean only this year, but what's the long term, what are some of the longer term projects that we might want to take on. And then this time we'll do a little bit more discussion about the roles, what's the council's role in this process, what's staff's role, and then we come together for, it's probably about 8 hours total, but we do one evening and then most of a day the next day, and just kind of, I think it helps us get to know each other and be able to work together better.
As you're going into something like that, how much do you have your own kind of draft of goals that you're considering?
Well, see, we have a set of goals from last year, and that's kind of where we start. And then, if there are some particular things that I'm a little concerned about looking forward, I'll bring those into the process. And our facilitator does a great job. She'll interview each of the counselors, the elected officials, and then she does some polling, surveying with the staff, the department heads, and we have our input into that process. So,
Byron Smith with us, the Hermiston City Manager here on the Odds and Ends program at 8:09 on AM 1360 KOHU. How did we do on the goals for 2024?
Well, I think we're doing well. Sometimes we set a goal and hopefully it's going to be done in a year, but really a lot of things take a long ways. But a number of the goals that are out there in our current year's goals are in process. So we're working on a lot of building upgrade projects, and so those are kind of in different stages, and so we're really excited about getting those accomplished. And then just a few other kind of different projects to we have an ongoing goal to try to encourage housing, because that's something that we struggle with in this area. And that one's hard to say we've accomplished it, but we're always kind of working and looking at ways that we can encourage housing development.
That one also feels a little bit like, I mean, the cliche of the Golden Gate Bridge is that as soon as you finish painting it, you go back to the start because you have to start a never-ending process. I wonder for you, because I've asked this of a bunch of different people, how do you balance the growth while not losing what is quintessential Hermiston?
Yeah, I think that's a difficult question that communities all across the country we kind of grapple with. Is, you know, so much of the reason people live in Hermiston is because of its charm, its small town feel, the way people know each other. And so it's a challenge as we continue to grow. One of the things that I think is a benefit for us is we're not growing at, 8 and 9% a year, which helps maybe to assimilate or help people kind of come into the community a little better. And I think each part of the community, not just the city, the school district is a part of, helping people recognize what things are available and the things that they can do and be involved. I know our outgoing mayor would always tout how welcoming this community is to people who want to take a leadership role and do something. And I think, that's been a great benefit for Hermiston in kind of keeping that small town feel.
Because you, as well as I, know what the number one complaint when somebody has to go west here, the first thing they complain about is the traffic. Mm-hmm. But now that's become kind of your number one complaint as well with the city of Hermiston is the traffic is becoming congested.
Yeah, and that's it's definitely not the same as what they deal with in maybe larger communities, and we always try to remind people that it's still not bad. We can get anywhere in about 10 minutes, but we're always looking at ways that we can provide alternatives to, particularly 395. That's really the biggest challenge in the community. And so, the improvements we made to North First Place over the last couple of years, I think provides an alternative for people. And we're looking at other places around the community that we can make upgrades like that to kind of relieve the pressure on 395.
Well, once North First Place finished, then it became in that downtown district, project after project. Is there a point where you're able to catch the infrastructure up to where there's not a big project going on in downtown all the time, even if it's long term, like multiple years?
I mean, I think we're getting there. I think we've made a good, strong push on the west side of 395. I think we've really hit a lot of the areas that we knew were needs. And this last year, I know everybody loved all the work we did on Main and Gladys and those streets over there on the east side. And I think we made that was a big chunk of that. I think there may be a few more projects like that we'll have. But I think we're in the core, we're really starting to kind of address most of the major issues.
Byron Smith with us this morning. He's the city manager in Hermiston here on the Odds and Ends program. It's 8:13 on your hometown radio station, AM 1360 KOHU. You talked about supporting departments. The library is currently displaced. The police department is and fire currently displaced. What is your role and what is kind of your staff's role in helping support, whether it is Mark Rose or whether it is Jason Edmiston, in just being able to work without your home?
Yeah. And, that's what we really have tried to work closely with each of those departments and figure out options that give them the best opportunity to continue to provide high quality services. And so, making some buildings available for some different uses has been very, very key. And then just kind of listening to what their needs are. One of the big needs, we needed a place to store a bunch of our library books because we knew we weren't going to be able to circulate them for about a year. And so we looked around and were able to partner with a great community partner in UEC. They had some available warehouse space and, some of those things where I can, have connections in the community that they don't, and we can kind of help them and support them that way.
When you look at the growth of things and facilities, I know there's a big conversation right now about potentially a pool, but is there something in between these upgrades that are currently in progress and that very major project that is on the horizon?
I think we've addressed most of the other kind of building type, facility type needs. There could be some improvements over at the community center, maybe that would be in between. But other than that, I think we've set up each of the departments trying to look into the future and make sure we have the space for them and things like that. And with the new city hall, I think that gave us there's room for growth in there that kind of helps us not have to worry about that for a while.
So the pool, where are we at?
Yeah, so we've been meeting with a task force of various partners. So people from our surrounding neighbors, Umatilla, Stanfield, Echo, Umatilla County, some of the larger employers, as well as the school district. And just at this point, we've done some internal work of looking at possible sites. Where could we locate it? What would be good spots? And we went through and evaluated some of those, and we've come up with kind of a short list. And at our next task force meeting, which will be in January, we're going to talk more in detail about each of those possible sites, and then we're going to talk and then the next step kind of after that is once the group has kind of chewed on and looked at the viability of each of those, we're going to do some community outreach, both on kind of sites and locations, but also programming. What would people want to see? The group has done some, but we really want to hear from the community about what types of programs they would be interested in. And, it's always a debate of indoor and outdoor aquatics and, what can we really afford to keep going as we move forward with this discussion. Yeah,
affords, to me, the most interesting question, because the conversation has been a very large project and a very large price tag on that project. Mm-hmm. What are the ways that this task force has discussed that piece of the equation so far?
Well, and that is kind of going to be in one of our, we'll have a February meeting, and I think that's going to be where we really start talking about financing and things like that. But, we've both Hermiston and Umatilla County, we've all had some great benefits recently with all the development that's come on through Amazon and the data centers, and some of that funding, it really doesn't lend itself to ongoing operations, but it lends itself to potentially paying for some large capital, which is how we've been doing some of our other projects. But I think that might be a discussion topic. And then I think also some sort of a capital campaign that we've done, like we've done on other projects, to reach out to the businesses and some of those who we think will benefit from a large project like that.
So on the operations side, though, because that's the expense to a pool, right? Mm-hmm. That's why BMCC's had to close that and repairs. But how do you have to, what chicken or egg? Do you have to know what the design is before you can figure out what the operational costs are? Or is there already kind of a base idea of what it's going to cost annually?
So in 2018, we did a small version of what we're doing now, not nearly as in-depth. And so we did get a picture of what operational costs would look like. And again, it was with a lot of assumptions of what the program would look like. And so we're trying to refine that, and then we can refine the operational numbers. We're working with a consulting firm that does this for aquatic centers across the country. So they're very knowledgeable about, how many lifeguards is this going to take if we have this amount of pool space and we want to operate these kind of hours. And so it's really helpful, the insights that they can give, and they can tell us, that competition, if you want to do a competition piece, that's not really going to be your revenue source, but really your revenue source is the recreational piece. And so trying to balance the different needs that we have in that way.
Aquatic center, however, in some of these conversations, it's kind of more like a rec center. with more available than just a pool?
Yeah, and that's what we looked at in 2018. I think that's still the conversation, is more of a recreation center, and that's really kind of some of it's coming out of those consultants and others with experience in the industry, that those types of amenities help it to get closer to cost recovery.
What is, when you look at it big picture, what is the value of a indoor aquatic center option?
As far as a cost value?
No, just the value to the value to the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as we talk to the school district, they really their swim programs have been, I think they've been growing, but they're struggling because they're a lot of times they're traveling to Boardman to practice and at ungodly hours.
Yeah,
and so I think that's a great value to the community to help some of our youth have another option. The health, just the overall health value of being able to provide programs of facilities. Aquatics is a great lifelong type of a thing, and so I think the hospital has a great interest in encouraging better health for everybody, and so all of those things kind of combine. One of the things that we have a limited amount of time to teach swim lessons right now with an outdoor center, and if we could do swim lessons year-round, how many more kids could we get through that program and help them be safe as we have great aquatic activities to participate in, but we want to make sure people are as safe as possible.
Is the idea, as you're thinking about it, that this would be in conjunction with or in addition to the current aquatic center?
Well, and that's kind of part of the discussion that we've been having recently is how does it fit? Do we make it an addition to the outdoor, or do we just go with an indoor and we have to shutter the outdoor? I mean, that's a big debate, and I'm sure we'll never make everybody happy in the end, but I think that's the discussion that we're having. Yeah,
isn't that's kind of the job, right? Like,
yes.
that's the unwritten part on the business card is you're not going to make everybody happy as being city manager.
Yeah, exactly. But we're trying to hear from as many people as we can. So as we do this outreach, we ask everybody to kind of chime in and participate. And really, we envision this as a regional facility. It may or may not be located within the city limits of Hermiston, but we feel like we're going to have partnerships with the whole region, the West County region, and so we think that we want everybody to have a chance to chime in.
Byron Smith with us this morning, the city manager for Hermiston, here at 8:23 on the Odds and Ends program. How have you felt as you've assessed a couple of years now of having control of the East Oregon Trade and Event Center, that idea of being in the business of creating regional type events, and how do you feel like that's working for what you're doing right now in Hermiston?
Well, I think it's going well. We're continuing to learn, what types of things are people interested in, and trying to find ways to provide those things. I think where we've grown the most over the last couple of years is on equestrian-related events. We've been able to do a lot of barrel racing and ropings and things like that are kind of interest to a lot of folks who like those things, and so we've been able to really strengthen our offerings in that way. We're continuing to figure out exactly where we fit in the whole scheme of other types of events. I know people often want us to do concerts and those kind of things, and we've been able to do a few, mostly Spanish language, and they've been successful, and we have some promoters who want to continue to look and work with us. But we're just continuing to feel out what can we do, where do we fit, what's our niche.
What is the number one question you get?
How come we don't have Costco?
Okay.
When
because there's two of them within 45 minutes here in about a year from now.
Yeah, I talk to people. Retail businesses, they have it figured out. They know who their customers are. They know how close they want them. I mean, each one has their own kind of little footprint, and the city works. I mean, we have invested in some consultants who are particularly in that business, and so they help us when people are interested, or help us get in front of people who we think should be interested. And so, and one of the things we had them present a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago now, in front of council, and one of the things that they emphasized was, some of these deals take 3 to 5 years to come to fruition. Somebody might start today and say, I want to come to Hermiston, and it might take them 3 years before their store opens. And so sometimes the public they don't like to be patient with that, but that's what we have to work with.
What is your kind of reaction? You drive past Rite Aid or Sherry's, or, Big Lock's about to close. For you, is it like a concern? Oh, we got to fill it, or is it, No,
it is a concern, and that thankfully we do have these kind of specialists to help us, because they circulate within all of they know all the people who work with these different companies, and so they're already working on all of those sites, trying to help generate interest. The owners of the Plaza property know these consultants, work with them closely. So we're really working to try to do all we can. And it does concern me. I don't like to see those vacant. I mean, that just has a bad feel for the community.
I would presume, as you're talking about, like the people who own the structures, though, they're even more concerned.
It is
empty is not making any money.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that, the Rite Aid building is the one probably a little bit more of a concern, just with the. We did get some good news, though, that it wasn't owned by the Rite Aid Corporation; it was leased to them, and so that there has been some approaches made to the owners, and they are interested in selling, and so. That was good news from that standpoint,
as opposed to being tied up in a
bankruptcy
thing for
a decade.
Right. It's 8:27 here on the Odds and Ends program. As we finish up, I guess, do you want any events that we have on the horizon that you thought we should touch on here?
Yeah, I think you've had some folks on talking about the Land of Lights. Yeah. We feel like that's been a real success this year. It's not exactly where we want it to be, but we just want to grow that as a kind of an attraction, both for the people who live here and try to attract people from outside as well to come and enjoy that.
What do you mean by that? Where could it go next? What?
Yeah, just trying to make what's going on at EOTech bigger, and then we kind of a longer term goal is we started this year with a home decorating, competition, and try to get people interested. We want to see that grow and get the whole community behind this idea of kind of being a Eastern Oregon's North Pole, kind of attract people to come and enjoy the holidays here, enjoy the lights and everything that we could provide.
Might have to at some point, though, just put the house on John's in the Hall of Fame. And
I think
everybody else is. We know that's the winner. Everybody else is competing now.
Yeah, I think that we might have to give him a special award and then just move on.
All right. Well, we appreciate the conversation. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the chance to be here.
All right. Merry Christmas. Byron Smith, the city manager here in Hermiston, with us on the Odds and Ends program. That's the Monday morning show. We are back tomorrow morning as well. We're going to talk about the Community Fellowship Dinner, the free dinner on Christmas Day at Hermiston High School. That will be our focus tomorrow morning. And then we will also wish you a happy Merry Christmas and happy holidays as we go into a little break. It's 8:29. This has been the Odds and Ends program here